Kicking, climbing buildings, jumping off planes. Whoa!
This is the work of Michael Giacchino.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hey, welcome back. Mike, I'm so excited. You want to know why?
Because this is our first Spotlight
This
episode.
is our first Spotlight episode.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, frick yeah. For the nicer audience. No cussing.
Yeah, we're here for you. We're here for you. Although this guy is no, I'm kidding.
This guy does fucking rule.
Yeah. Mike, who are we going to be talking about today? Michael
Giacchino. Not Giacchino. Not Giacchino. Giacchino.
But did you notice that I was saying Michael to tell everyone what Michael is we're talking about?
Did you? You would.
When you.
That's what you sound like.
So just a reminder of the format for this episode. Like we've been saying, this is a Spotlight episode. So our main focus is your boy Michael Giacchino. And then
we're going to give like our personal insights on the history that we share. We're going to discuss how we came to know him in contrast to how the world got to know him, kind of thing.
True. We've learned a lot trying to...
Yes, I did not know a lot of his early stuff.
Bring you guys some of this information too. So, oh yeah.
So last episode, we discussed our top 5 Giacchino scores from movies that he composed. And we just wanted to recap our top 5s. We're not going to get into detail. If you would like to hear our detail, listen to episode 3. But we are going to go over our top 5s really quick.
And if you want us to go into more detail, please reach out to us because I'm sure we would love to do...
We're yapaholics.
Yeah, we would love to do a spotlight on those movies. So, yeah. And we probably will, regardless.
True,
so.
I didn't even think about spotlight for a movie.
Yeah.
That would rip.
That would. I'm going to go first. I'm going to say my top 5 from 5 to 1. So at number 5, I said Coco. Number 4, I said Rogue One. Number 3, I said Up. Number 2, I said Incredibles 1 and 2 clumped together. And then number 1, I said Monte Carlo. It took me a lot to get there. You'll listen why in the last episode. So that was mine. What about you, Mike?
Mine got a lot of heat from Molly in episode 3.
Deserved.
Yeah, if you want to know why it's deserved, go ahead and listen. But if you already heard, I'm going to repeat them. Starting with number 5, I had The Batman. Number 4, I had Incredibles 1 and 2. Number 3, I had Up. Twinsies. Number 2, I had Ratatouille. And number 1, I had Inside Out.
Which I supported most of that. I supported which ones were in the top 5. I didn't necessarily support which order they were in. But I still support you overall, okay?
Never said you didn't.
Friendship. Yeah, you did.
I said I got heat. That's different.
Okay. So.
We're going to shine that spotlight right now.
Yeah, Michael, if you're listening, we love you. And
we think you should have gotten more Oscar nominations than just Up and Ratatouille.
Yeah, we think you should join us so we can ask you the most random questions.
That aren't related to composition at all.
Yeah.
Be like, do you like Up like us?
That's the one thing is I would want to learn more about him as like a dude. Not just like...
Yeah, like the informal side of him.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Because we're all people.
Well, isn't like some journalists these days when they get big celebrities on their shows or whatever, they ask them like the most random stuff, the most like deep dive of stuff, like hot ones. Like apparently he'll ask them a bunch of random stuff and they'll be like, I did not expect you to bring up something from my middle school talent show or some like crazy thing like that.
Yeah.
But we really don't get that with him because it's only for when he's in a movie. Well, he is on social media a lot, so you kind of do get his interests from what he posts on there.
I will say, he does have quite the extensive background that I did not know about.
Same.
We're going to shine that spotlight right now. You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Mike, how about you start us off?
You got it. Michael Giacchino started out as an undergrad at SVA, which I did not know about. For those that don't know, SVA is School of Visual Arts, and it's in Manhattan. And he went there for filmmaking, while he was there, he had a marketing position at Universal Studios in Manhattan at the same time. And then switched to, I think it was across the street, was Disney's PR team.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like his start with Disney before all of his film compositions and everything.
At some point, he was also taking music classes at Juilliard.
Yes.
Which, how did he have time for all that?
And UCLA.
No idea.
Opposite side of the country.
I don't understand. He can teleport.
Man's got game.
Yeah, for real.
His big break into composition was actually like in the 90s. He was an associate producer on the Lion King game, which is infamously impossible to play. Like it's just very hard for some reason. There's a jumping mechanism, and you can't land on the platforms unless you time it just right. And it annoys a lot of people that I know have played it.
That sucks, but the music must have been great.
Yes, it was so great that Steven Spielberg heard it and asked him to do Jurassic Park: The Lost World in '97, the game.
Wow.
It impressed Spielberg enough that it became the first official soundtrack for PlayStation to feature a live orchestra.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy. And that all happened before I was born, which is even more wild.
Same. That was considered like his claim to fame, big break, was working with Spielberg and being the first orchestra in a PlayStation game.
Yeah, that's wild.
And then he did Medal of Honor, which is, it's like a precursor to the Call of Duty, but it was another Spielberg created game. And he was like, Giacchino, get on this. And Giacchino was like, copy that. He sounded like that too, because he's from Jersey.
Yeah, for real.
They would later partner together again in 2011 when Spielberg was a producer on J.J. Abrams' movie Super 8, which is, it's kind of loosely based on E.T. It's more of a creature feature horror movie, but it is a sci-fi following a group of teens kind of movie too. But it is good.
He eventually got the opportunity to do, when I was doing my research, a lot of places just like paired them together. Like he did the shows Alias and Lost.
Yes.
My sister loves Alias, and I feel like I have to watch it now. Also because Jennifer Garner's in it, and I love her for some reason. Like, period. And then that kind of jump-started, you should maybe do some movies. And that's basically like the rough cut of it. It's like...
Yeah, 2004 was like the year of Giacchino.
Yeah.
Because that was the year that Lost started. That was September of 2004 was the premiere of Lost.
Dang.
And he mentioned that for the score for that, he used discarded parts of like the plane as percussion instruments.
Wow.
Because the show is about like a plane crash on a mysterious island.
Yeah.
So he incorporated discarded plane parts as percussion instruments.
Incredibles was shortly after that.
Yes. A month after Lost came out, The Incredibles came out. September, October 2004 was Giacchino's...
He was feeding everyone.
Big break. Like, certified big break. Not just video game.
Yeah.
But this was, like, his foray into film composition.
And that's wild to have Incredibles be... That's, like, your start.
And it got no Oscar nomination. We're going to bring that up again.
That is insane.
I agree. Even if it is my number 4. It's still upsetting.
Thank you. Your passion is what I care for.
His big piece of advice to film composer, like, aspirers and dreamers is stop going to grad school. Study every aspect of movies instead. Because to know the emotion of composing, you have to have a thorough perspective of what's in the footage given to you. So it's like, you need to know every detail of the movie that you're performing for to accurately depict what's going on. And that is real.
Yeah. He brought that up in his, I watched the Director by Night little mini documentary that his brother made for Disney Plus that came out in 2022. And it was, you guys should watch it. It's only like 50 minutes, but it's really random. Love you, Anthony, but yeah, I love you. He said that because he was trying to ask him, like, because it was his directorial debut, he was like, how is this different from writing scores? And he was like, other than the scale of who you have to work with, at the end of the day, you still have to know everything about everything you're working on.
Yeah. And I would say, we'll cover it later, but Werewolf by Night being his debut Like, he knew about filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
And he did the score too. So he was sound and visuals for that. How about that?
How does he sleep? Michael,
Probably
if you're
with his eyes closed.
comment below. Let us know.
That was a good bit.
That was really good. Well, I do have to say, in the Director by Night, they really emphasized the fact that he and a bunch of his high school friends would save up their money and just make a bunch of movies and play with explosives and dynamite in his mother's pool and
He's
fake
so real
blood.
for that.
And he would scratch film to give, like, the illusion of, like, a gunshot or, like, a lightsaber. It just amazes me that he was able to do both film and music stuff at the same time. I would combust.
We will cover that later.
Yeah.
Because The Incredibles, like he said, to know the emotion in composing, you have to have a thorough perspective of the emotions conveyed in the footage given to you. When I heard him say that, and I went back to The Incredibles, I said, okay, there's like a mid-century jazz feel for the visuals of the movie, followed by the superhero epic feel with the snappy, loud percussion and brass. And there's like some heartstring, like flowy parts because it's a family at the core of it all. It was very nice to see all three elements put into one, and it didn't get an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
I'm furious.
Well, it doesn't really surprise me that we went back and you were like, duh, because I feel like that's underlyingly why we like him in the first place. And also, I feel like none of his scores sound the same. Ratatouille and Monte Carlo are similar. It's not like he said, I'm going to just reuse some of the stuff. No, it is different. I mean, France is France. He can't change that.
I have some notes on that coming up.
But
the superhero feel of The Incredibles, it kind of got him his shot on Disney Channel with Sky High.
Yes!
In 2005, right after.
I did watch some clips from Sky High because I didn't have enough time to watch the whole
Royal
movie.
Pain is Skelly.
Dude, she is. Not that we're back on that, but I'm happy with it in my honorable mentions still.
Yeah.
So. He delivered.
Yeah. With those two movies, it led to a lot of Disney Pixar collaborations, including Ratatouille, Up, which he won an Oscar for, Let's Go, Cars 2, Inside Out, Coco, The Incredibles 2, and Lightyear. He did all of those Pixar scores.
That's so wild.
Yes. I agree.
I do find it crazy that he's able to move on. Maybe, let's say move forward. Because if I did all those, I'd be like, hey guys, this is your weekly reminder that I created this banger in 2008. You know what I mean? Michael, come on the show. Thank you.
Yeah. But touching on Molly saying that all of his stuff feels different for each movie, he is known for working on franchises and sequels. And he mentioned in an interview that he does not believe in reusing existing pieces. For example, in credits versus in credits 2, rearranged, alternate versions, new instruments for in credits 2.
Yep. Clearly different.
The Spider-Man MCU trilogy, same theme for Peter Parker, like introductory, but the feel of the music changes with each installment based on the stakes.
The Star Treks?
Yes.
When I was in between Star Trek Into Darkness and Star Trek Beyond, felt like Into Darkness, I literally was just about to say, it just sounded darker, but it really did. But Star Trek Beyond, he added vocals, he added a choir, like a, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds beautiful.
Rogue One carried the Star Wars feel of John Williams, but it was not John Williams. And The Batman, he mentioned he appreciates Danny Elfman and Hans Zimmer's takes on their Batman franchises, but he knew that this was going to be a new take, so it meant a new format, which means a new score. And he wanted to carry the noir detective feel that Matt Reeves was going for as director.
Yeah.
And writer.
He's such an adaptable king.
Yes.
He said that he always tries to learn from the directors that he works with. He looks up to them, and it's so amazing how like humble he is about that, wanting to work with them as being like a privilege more than just like you're my coworker, you know?
Yeah. He said with most directors he would prefer to see footage rather than the script, because when he reads the script he envisions the movie as his own, not as the director sees it. There's only been like 2 movies he's read the script for, and one was Jojo Rabbit in 2019 with Taika Waititi. I appreciate his investment where he's like, give it to me the way you want me to see it. not the way I want to see it.
Yeah.
His input, besides the quality of music, he names each track himself.
Yes.
And he's known for being witty and pun-based, and he got some backlash for it in 2009 with Star Trek.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know about the backlash. I knew about the punniness.
There was a fan forum, and they were like roasting Mr. Giacchino himself, saying that he was taking away from the serious tone and emotional gravitas of the soundtrack with the titles.
Come on.
And I was like, first off, it's Star Trek. It's not real.
Yeah. Let him have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. He's given us art. Let him do it his way.
And I love when some of them are like, this is exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Like in the title.
Most of his compositions, there's one track titled World's Worst Blank. And that's just a recurring thing that he does. And he tries to hit it with each composition that he does. Where it's like, World's Worst Beach Party is from Lost. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those that don't know what Lost is about, I mentioned it earlier in the episode, but it's about a plane that crashes on a mysterious island covered by smoke, so they don't know their way out or in. Calling the track World's Worst Beach Party is very up his alley.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, yeah, the characters are probably like, don't
What
say
the heck?
that.
Yeah. I was going to give some examples, though.
Yes.
I'm sure Mike totally understands what I'm saying and definitely agrees. One of the songs in Monte Carlo, one of the names of the songs is Graceful Exit. The main character, Selena Gomez's character, her name is Grace. And it's talking about her graduating and leaving high school.
Mm.
And then later on in the movie, a song plays called Megsmerized, where Leighton Meester's character, Meg, she's in love with the Australian hottie, Riley. And she is not like that type of person at all. She's had, pardon me, a stick up her ass the entire movie.
That must hurt.
And this guy made her feel love again that she hadn't felt in a while, whatever. And so that's the name of the song that plays. And I find it really funny. And the best part is she literally gets snapped out of it, and then the music stops when the song is over.
There's also Life's Incredible Again.
Oh,
That's like a straightforward, honest one.
yeah. It's like everything's good.
And it's fitting because it's like the optimistic uplift of him finding his
groove.
his new career, which is hero work. But Life's Incredible Again. If you're talking scale, he became a huge name in film composition when he started with Marvel Studios.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know. He did the opening fanfare that started in 2016, and it's like every movie since then.
Yeah.
Besides Homecoming, when they did the original Spider-Man theme rearranged.
Yeah, and it wasn't in Thunderbolts, though, right? Thunderbolts sounded completely different, yeah.
And Endgame, they did Dear Mr. Fantasy by Traffic. That's the open. Correct. For Spider-Man Homecoming, it was the first use of non-fanfare music for an opening credits sequence. And the only reason is because he said in an interview, Kevin Feige and I are dorks. We need to do this. And that was their only preface.
Wow.
They just said, we love Spider-Man.
I mean, yeah. Good for him.
Yeah. Thor Love and Thunder. We've discussed this. It was his return to working with Taika Waititi after Jojo Rabbit.
And I thought the movie looked and sounded great. What about you, Mike?
I am looking forward to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I really like the use of vocals, even in the trailer music. Where they're just like choir saying, Four.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Nelson.
I'm not as excited for Fantastic Four as I wanted to be.
I am just for the music.
I am only for the music, yeah.
And the 60s feel, because that's me. With his contributions including the fanfare Doctor Strange, the Spider-Man trilogy, Thor Love and Thunder, and Fantastic Four.
Dying.
This man's got game in another franchise. He got his directorial debut with Marvel because of that in 2022's Werewolf by Night. And his reason for making it, he said, there are a lot of horror movies out there. The newer ones rely on jump scares, visuals, and audio-driven jolts. He wanted to evoke the classic B-horror black and white creature feature feel from the 40s and early 50s. He did it. I watched it today, actually.
Yeah, Mike saw that today, and I saw Director by Night today.
You watched the making of it. I watched the actual thing.
I know, but I learned that he was talking to Kevin Feige about potentially directing, and he was like, "What's something you would want to do?" And he was like, "I'd want to do Werewolf by Night." And then he was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah." And then I guess growing up, he really liked the horror and the sci-fi, and there's photos of him and his brother dressed up in all these like werewolf types and like all these weird masks, and he had like the comic book as a kid, so that was he did the thing like how you just said. He was like, "I want to make it really similar to like the black and white," and then the screen went black and white. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. They did release a color version a few months later. I opted for the black and white because that was the director's vision. I will say he evoked the B horror feel very well because there is a scene where it's similar to his sequence in the Batman where Werewolf by Night, the character, it's like a dark hallway illuminated by flashes of light. And in the Batman, there's a scene like that too, where they're fighting, and it's like frames because it's lit by gunshots.
Mm-hmm.
But in Werewolf by Night, in between the light visuals where you see what's happening, there's one person that he hits or slashes at with his werewolf claws, whatnot, and there's blood on the lens as it pans through the fight towards the end of the room because it's just watching him like fight through the room as it goes, and the lens just gets bloodier, and it just showed that he wasn't afraid to delve into horror with the limitations that the franchise typically has. Like, Multiverse of Madness had some surprise gore to it, like Black Bolt.
It was pretty scary, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's because I don't love horror.
Yeah, but
Thank you and good night.
his perspective on the power of Marvel Studios was they don't oversaturate the market, but he does feel that small-time movies deserve equal representation, including marketing opportunities and retention rates for screens. Like, Marvel movies get 4 months for some titles.
Dang.
And then, for example, Anora had 2 weeks in my area until it won Oscars, and then it was back for a month.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, guys, which is why I'm not commenting.
And that's why I'm the movies head.
Yeah.
I do have to touch on this because I'm a graphic designer and in the arts, much like Molly with music. Artificial intelligence. Giacchino has the same perspective as me, and I'm hoping as you. AI can strategically analyze the process of filmmaking and identify the key elements that evoke emotion and how to do it. But only humans can tap into that divide between music and true emotions that humans should be feeling.
Okay, yeah.
AI can put it together, but only humans can really put it together, so to say. The extent that AI knows about human emotion can't be felt by AI.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. His contributions to Disney include the Disney parks.
Yes, you can hear it everywhere.
Space Mountain.
Yes, I had no idea that
He did
that.
He did like the revamp of Space Mountain in the 2000s, and he did Star Tours with John Williams.
That is insane.
I think it's the queue line music is the only thing he did, not the ride itself.
Well, that queue can't get very long, so good for him.
Ratatouille, Disneyland Paris.
And anywhere that there's any inklings of a Pixar movie, his music will play. For example, music from Coco plays in and near the Mexico Pavilion in Epcot. Ratatouille music will be played anywhere in France and or the Ratatouille area, any parks. In Pixar Place in Disneyland, California, there's a whole Incredibles ride, which I would die to go on. And then in Disney World, there's a little like Pixar Plaza where you can meet the characters. And it has some of the scores and just some of like the singer-songwriter songs on a loop there.
Yeah.
So, very cool. But yeah.
So, the last thing I have on my research for Michael Giacchino, his other notable projects that weren't explicitly mentioned yet, besides Monte Carlo, on my list. He did Mission Impossible 3 with J.J. Abrams and Ghost Protocol with Brad Bird.
Nice.
Arguably my favorite Mission Impossible. He did the Star Trek trilogy with J.J. Abrams and Justin Lin. He did the Jurassic World trilogy. Man's doing it.
Yeah.
He did Rogue One, as mentioned. He did Jojo Rabbit. He did Dawn and War, Planet of the Apes installments from the 2010s. Those two movies were with Matt Reeves, and those 2 compositions led to his partnership with Matt for The Batman, which is, I think it's his most recent composition prior to his Exotic Themes albums that just came out until Fantastic Four. And his work on The Batman inspired his son Mick, who is also a film composer.
Crazy.
And Mick did the music for the HBO spin-off The Penguin. So, father-son, Batman and Penguin. Pretty cool.
And if he did Skeleton Crew, that's like a form of Star Wars, right?
For Mick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Rogue One and Skeleton Crew.
That's wild.
So, 2 franchises, 2 Giacchinos. What up?
Thank you, Mike, for bringing us all this good old information.
Movie news.
Oh, yeah. One of his side projects is he came out with Exotic Themes for the Silver Screen, Volumes 1 and 2.
I just ordered Volume 1 on Amazon, not knowing what it was, but I knew he was attached, and I said, please. Also, ordered my Ratatouille vinyl today.
Oh my gosh. Look at you have grown up money.
$40, worth it.
I support you. I haven't listened to much of either of these albums, mainly because I just didn't understand it, and I heard his version of the Marvel Studios fanfare, and I was like, until I heard it literally today again, and I was like, dang. I'm gonna read a description of what these 2 albums are of.
Please note, this is from his official website.
I think it's kind of cutie that his official website is WordPress. Like, I used to make WordPress websites as a kid, and I feel like we're bonding right now, and he doesn't even know.
He probably plays Club Penguin.
He could. If Club Penguin had a movie, if he did the music for that, I would die. I would literally die. This podcast would end. Actually, it would continue with Mike.
You wouldn't see the Club Penguin movie.
Oh, actually, you're so right.
You would see the announcement that he's composing, and you'd be like, dead.
I'd come back to life. I have come back to life.
You'd hear the first note and be like, whoa, I'm back.
What's that from?
What?
I have come back to life.
I have come back to life.
We have yet to talk about this film or this franchise at all on the podcast, and we're keeping this in because I need to mention it.
Is it a franchise I know?
You should. The Night at the Museum.
Oh.
2.
I've only seen the first 2.
Oh, okay.
I never saw Secret of the Tomb.
That's okay. Anyway.
The first one's the good one.
Shout out Night at the Museum. Second one, best one. Okay, I'm gonna read off the thing now. Mutant is proud to present Academy Award-winning composer Michael Giacchino's latest album, Exotic Themes for the Silver Screen, Volume 1, featuring iconic scores from Giacchino's extensive portfolio rendered in the retro lounge style of Exotica from the 1950s. It spans nearly 2 decades of his music, from early video game scores to his television hits and blockbuster films. The albums transform these works through the lens of Exotica, replacing epic strings and thundering drums with vibraphones and marimba. I recommend listening to The Incredible Suite and then the Marvel Studios fanfare from the second volume. We also got Married Life on the first volume.
I ordered
basically like a whole bunch of his stuff in this style. So if you like anything by him and then also like this genre of music, go take a listen.
Yeah, it feels like, I wouldn't say chill tiki, but chill tiki is the way I would describe it.
You just said you wouldn't say that.
Yeah, whatever. I'm a man of many words. You never know where I'm going.
The duality of Michael, not Giacchino.
He's a man of many film titles, but he's also a man of many film awards.
Mm-hmm. He won a crap ton of awards for Up alone. He won an Academy Award, a British Academy Film Award, a Critics' Choice Movie Award, and a Golden Globe just for Up, which is crazy.
And then he got a few nominations for The Incredibles, not an Oscar, but he got Critics' Choice.
He got a Critics' Choice nomination for Society of the Snow in 2023.
I still have to watch that.
Just on Netflix.
Yes.
Fun.
No, it's a very sad movie.
Oh, I know nothing about it.
It's about a South American soccer team that eats each other in the Andes Mountains.
Oh my god.
And it's a real story.
Wow. The duality of Michael Giacchino, because he said Cars 2, and then that, and that's wild to me.
He said, made her a spy? How about soccer players eat each other?
Yeah, that's wild.
It's quite the range.
He won a Primetime Emmy Award for the pilot of Lost.
Yes.
Dang. He said first
get
try.
it,
They said
pilot, because it's a plane crash. Yep, we did that.
Yeah, but then he wouldn't have won an award for the pilot because then the pilot would have sucked.
Yeah. And
Got him.
if he hadn't done Lost or Alias, he probably wouldn't have done Incredibles.
That's wild. So now we have to watch it.
I don't know about that.
Well, you said that you wanted to watch Lost, and I said that I wanted to watch Alias.
I've been told Lost is good, but I've heard mixed things overall. He's been nominated quite a lot, and only won a handful of times.
Yeah.
Which I feel is a disgrace to the man.
Yeah, I mean, it is wild because he has done so many things.
Yeah.
Like, we only listed, I want to say, a handful of all the projects that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
There are some franchises that I don't even know, obviously, from the Society of the Snow, existed. What is Let Me In? I don't know. Sorry. What's Super 8? I don't know.
I told you what Super 8 was.
Well, I know, but, like, I didn't know what that was before you said something right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess he does have a documentary about him, Director by Night, even though it's made by his brother, but still, he deserves it nonetheless.
Yes.
And it really went with the Werewolf by Night, but I still support it. And it's really cute. Like, I'm just going to keep saying that. His mom's really cute. At the end of it, they were showing a bunch of old footage and such, and she was like, you know, everyone may know him as a great composer, a great director, really, really important in the movie world, but I just know him as my son. I was like, girl.
I know we've touched on the fact that the live-action Lilo and Stitch is not really on our radar, but the son of the lead woman for the children's choir of the Hawaiian school that did the original movie, the son is the composer on the new one. It was like a similar thing in the interview with him when they announced it, and he was like, I see it as a thank you to my mom doing the live action because she brought the original to us. And she was like, stop, you're going to make me cry.
That's so cute.
Yes.
Wow.
So hopefully the soundtrack's good.
Yeah, hopefully.
But they got the children's choir back. Like, the new generation of children's choir. But it's the same school.
Yeah, but they're doing Bleakly Dirty, so I don't know if it's going to balance out.
Billy Magnuson.
But as always, we'll keep you guys updated on that.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
He also did If any of you guys care about that movie. It's about the purple monster.
It's about imaginary friends.
And I feel
and
like...
Ryan Reynolds is in it.
Yeah, and I feel like it was advertised for months.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, when is this movie going to come out? But that's besides the point. He composed the score for that movie, so at an interview, because of that, he said that his top 4 film compositions were King Kong, the original, Planet of the Apes, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. I've only seen one of those movies. Comment down below guessing which one.
I'm going to guess Raiders, but I'll leave it to the audience. And I have also only seen one. I just named it. Planet of the Apes is on my watch list. So this is a quick little segment Molly does not know about.
What?
What movie do you wish Giacchino would score?
That has already been created?
What is your ideal movie for Giacchino to score that he hasn't already?
Oh.
Like, what genre do you want to see him do that he hasn't
maybe...
explicitly done yet?
Well, the problem is I know that he probably wouldn't love to do a romance film because that's just not...
Except he does it really well in, like, Ratatouille.
I know, but that's it's partial kids movie animated love, and I'm not saying that Ratatouille isn't also for adults, but I mean like
isn't Monte Carlo a romance?
Yeah, but it's like a
rom-com.
I mean like a okay, you kind of freaking got me. I mean like a tragedy, like
Titanic,
like a Titanic. We were both about to say the same
James
thing.
Horner. We're getting Michael Giacchino on that.
Like I want to cry because the story is like embedded with like, oh my gosh, that sucks in love and whoa, and then also you're like crying because of that, and then you hear the score and you're like, shit. Kind of like Married Life, but an entire movie of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what he said about Jojo Rabbit.
Wow.
He said the soundtrack for Up, Taika Waititi came to him and said, make the audience feel like you did for Up.
I mean, it's not like Monte Carlo is not sad.
Yeah.
I've shed a couple
Jojo
tears.
Rabbit's sad too, but...
The Titanic is definitely sadder than Monte Carlo. So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Come back. That's wild. I was gonna say, if the Muppets ever had a comeback
They already did.
again, the
They
Muppets can
won't.
always have comebacks, okay? Just because we're losing their land in Disney World, it's fine. Could you just imagine him taking over? Because I think a lot of, to be frank, I actually know nothing about who composes Muppet scores or anything like that.
Joe Raposo.
But the fact that Michael keeps changing and adapting and adding new things to previously done projects, I don't even care what he does. Do it. Because even though I'll automatically think it's amazing, hopefully the general public is like, oh, the Muppets are cool again. And then the Muppets are cool again for another 15 years. What about you, Mike?
So I, having film knowledge of scores with notable directors as like a through line in a history of partnerships, I want to see Giacchino do a Christopher Nolan movie. He had Hans Zimmer for most of those. He will be a spotlight. Like the Batman, Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, Interstellar, all Hans Zimmer. Those are like sweeping epics, and I think the Batman showed that Giacchino's capable. And sure, Christopher Nolan, his stuff is like mind-bending and reality-warping stuff. I think Giacchino could do it, and I would really like to see it, especially if he incorporates jazz.
Yeah, for real. That'd go crazy.
Yes,
I support you.
but that's what I think.
And Chris Nolan did Oppenheimer.
He did, and
Which-
that just won Best Picture
Really?
last year or 2 years ago, yeah.
I did see it.
It was okay.
Front row.
That's brutal. I did Barbenheimer.
Yeah, I think I saw Oppenheimer before Barbie.
That's wild.
And I really just wanted to see Barbie.
I did it by title. So I did Barbie Oppenheimer.
Makes sense.
And I said, damn, Barbie was really good. And then I watched Oppenheimer and I went, damn, the first 2 hours of Oppenheimer are really good.
Yeah, I actually didn't hate it until I started to fall asleep. I don't even know who did the score, but maybe Michael
Ludwig
would have.
Göransson.
Maybe Michael would have slayed that.
Ludwig Göransson won an Oscar, though. So
Never mind.
now that we've mentioned what we want to see Giacchino do, we're going to mention how we got to know who Giacchino is.
Yeah.
And my introduction to him was The Incredibles in theaters. I was scared. Yeah, like I mentioned in my top 5, the Omnidroid reveal in the meeting room with the large crescendo and trumpets. Nightmares for a 4-year-old. But we're okay. I think it was that and Ratatouille, probably. I would just, blanket statement, I saw his animated stuff before his live action. Just
Yeah.
because I was a kid.
Yeah, same. Was there a point where you were like, this is so good, I need to look up this guy and start like actually knowing who he is?
That didn't come for a while. Like, I enjoyed the score for Up. Mind you, I was 9, so I wasn't really like, who did this?
Yeah.
But the music was good. It wasn't until, I think, college that I was like, I need to look into this. And, like, I listened to the Star Trek music when I was enjoying the movies as a teenager, but I wasn't really focused on who made it.
Yeah.
And then I looked at his track record during college, and I was like, whoa.
I mean, similar thing with me. I didn't really understand how many people, how many things, what it took to create a movie when I was watching Elastigirl kick the crap out of people. But I would say that I really enjoyed Incredibles, and then it was Up. And then when I was in like high school, I've said this before, that's when I found out that there's people whose jobs it is to literally just create music for movies. And then I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Who did this movie that made me cry instantly 14 minutes into the movie? And that's when I found out it was him. And then I knew nothing about him other than his name and that he did Incredibles. I found that out. And I have a hard time with pronouncing people's names if I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. So for the longest time, I pronounced it Giacchino. And then a couple years ago, it was Giacchino. And then literally today, it was Giacchino. So if I've said it wrong, love you, Michael. Please still join us. But
He did say Giacchino is acceptable, but he
Yeah,
doesn't want to
but-
correct people, but Giacchino is the proper.
I like calling people by the name that they want to be called. And in interviews, I just saw the other way around. So then I was
Yeah.
like, okay. If I saw a movie and I knew that he was the one doing the score for it, as we all know, I already wait and watch the credits. But I would be that guy where when he would come on the screen, I'd like stand up and be like, oh my god, Michael! 1, because I thought it would embarrass my parents. And 2, because I feel like, kind of similar to, we're back to episode 1, concert etiquette. how people would like get up and leave in the middle of the end song of
Yeah.
the show or whatever. Like people would like really never stay to see like the names and such.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember thinking
people
like
that
I'm
made
so
it.
cool for thinking he's so cool, you know? Like,
I love shamelessly plugging this every time it comes up. Molly saw Up in concert, and
I did.
it's a staple in the foundations for where this podcast came from.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike, for
Telling you the day before.
being like, you want to go?
And you were like, what is that?
Yeah.
And then you saw the orchestra set up, and you're like, hold up.
I have like one photo from that, and it's like a photo of like the up sign in
Yes.
the beginning. I was too afraid to record or anything like that. I was
That's because
they're
they
gonna
threatened to
see
shoot on sight.
like, I
No,
wish
they
like
threatened
I
to kick you out. But
yeah, I wish I documented it more, but alas, it is in my memory, and that's
you
okay.
did wear your Wilderness Explorer hat. I remember that.
Period. Still have that hat.
Sick.
The wilderness must be explored. Gah! But yeah, I didn't really realize that he did live action stuff until I saw Doctor Strange. I love Doctor Strange, like the first one.
I do like what is the name of the instrument? It's like the really staccato plucking, and it's not a harp. It sounds like piano, but it's like really.
It's not a harpsichord.
It might be.
It's a type of piano, but it sounds more like dingy, if that makes sense.
It's like the
What?
opening to mystery thrillers kind of instrument.
2 hours later.
Also, at some point, you guys, I would love to go more in depth about instruments in general. Those are really cool. And
Probably
those-
do that on a Hans Zimmer spotlight. He creates instruments.
Yeah,
He like invents new ones for his scores.
that's like amazing.
Yes.
And there's so many, and they all should be explored. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that I was right. Yeah, it's a harpsichord.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I really like his Sanctum Sanctorum intro with that.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, this is kind of
You're like, this guy's kind of magic.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I didn't watch the new Star Treks until after that. And by that time, I knew if I liked the score to go check. And so then I was like, oh, it's him.
Yeah,
So that was after.
I saw the first two on Blu-ray and then the third one in theaters because I liked the first two so much.
Fun fact, my parents love Star Trek, so naturally I didn't want to like it.
You were like, no, I can't be like my parents.
But like the thing is, my parents actually have great taste in music. Mom and Dad, if you're listening, I didn't say that. And Star Trek actually, first of all, the remake had Chris Pine and Benedict Cumberbatch.
It had Carl Urban.
Zoe Saldana. And Mike King that played Spock that I can't remember your name right now.
Zachary
So-
Quinto.
Thank you. I actually loved him in that. And I was like, yeah, this slaps. So then I was like, I love this.
I really like Carl Urban as Bones.
Mm-hmm.
And Anton Yelchin.
Who's that one guy who's
Simon Pegg.
he's Ogden Morrow in
Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
He's also Benji in Mission Impossible.
I knew that. Also Rip Anton. I remember when that happened.
Yes, it was very sad.
That was so sad. But yeah, crazy. Mike, I have a question for you since you had a great question for me that was very unexpected. If your answer is not him, that's cool. We can open it up in a spotlight about that composer. But would you let Michael Giacchino compose a movie about your life?
That's a toughie.
If he was with, you could have him collaborate with other people, but would he be like one of those people?
No. Well,
Really?
the no is prefaced by the working together. I feel like if a composer is to direct the music for someone's life, it should be standalone.
Oh, I see.
Because if you do joint, you don't know who's who in terms of which part you're trying to focus on.
I see. Okay, so then if it was just one...
It's like the full range of one composer.
Yeah.
I would say so. Like, in my mind, I said no, Hans Zimmer. But Hans Zimmer does epics, and I'm a laid-back, chill guy, not... I'm doing crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michael Giacchino, he would probably do a really nice, like, orchestral flow
Mm-hmm.
with some nice 808s or something in the back to be like, he has some fun, but he's mostly chill.
Has he ever worked with Greta Gerwig?
With Greta Gerwig, I don't think so.
I feel like that would be my life. Like, I would want Greta to direct, and then I'd want him to do the score. And honestly, or I don't like the idea of two men being in charge of, like, a film of my life. Not that they would be the only people, but like I would maybe let him direct and John Williams do the score, but that means that John Williams would be alive. And who knows? In a perfect world, maybe.
Okay.
But also, my life is not that interesting either. So,
Slow down.
was I talking really fast?
No, you're just lying.
What do you mean?
Your life is crazy.
Oh. I thought you meant like, okay. I don't want that to mean that
John
Michael
Williams
wouldn't
is
be...
a bat.
No, I wouldn't. No, I don't think that. I wouldn't want that to mean that Michael wouldn't be able to make a score about my life just because I want John Williams. But I should maybe more frame it as like my life isn't as fairy tale like as the Harry Potter franchise and Star Wars and
That's
E.T.
Nicholas Hooper for Harry Potter.
John Williams did.
Well, the first one.
Well, yeah, but that's the one I really. When you think of like Harry Potter, I think of
the Weasley Stomp by Nicholas Hooper from Half-Blood Prince.
I think of the original Harry Potter theme, and then I do think of the Order of the Phoenix when they're Dumbledore's army.
Yes.
I think of Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore's army, which also plays at Universal, which is amazing.
Sweet.
Totally.
I really like statues, but that's a different thing. That's from Deathly Hallows Part 2.
I mean, Nicholas Hooper is great, but when I think of John Williams, I think of all like the wow, dreamy.
The trumpet solo at the beginning of A New Hope. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I love his work with trombones. Shout out to all you trombone players out there. Comment down below if you're here. We love you. I do.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed listening to our history lesson and our little conversation about Michael Giacchino. We are now going to move on to our one song spotlight, and our theme is Michael. Duh. So, I'll go first because I already have it in my noggin. And I mentioned it last week, but just in case you didn't, because you might not have. And now's your chance, redeeming chance, to listen to Making Light from the Monte Carlo soundtrack. Like I said last episode, it's really like fast French jazzy. And just imagine me in high school and college and right now all the time trying to sing the sax solos and the trombone solos like by scatting. Goes hard. It really goes hard. And if you're a singer, listen to that. I love it. I don't know. It's really fun. So, yeah. What about you, Mike?
Mine is probably going to be the title track from The Batman.
Ooh.
Because it has each element of the movie, much like I said about The Incredibles earlier. It carries the feel of like a noir mystery, superhero epic, and like a personal story of like devastation because he's an orphan and it's his second year as Batman in the movie. A lot of the liveliness from the score is about, I wouldn't say his novice approach or amateur approach to being Batman, but like his inventive beginnings, so to say.
Cool. This is the first, even though we're only 4 episodes in, this is the first episode where I've heard that.
Yup.
I've heard your one song spotlight.
You've heard Disco Frog.
Yeah, after you showed it to me. This is something that I have heard completely on my own.
Okay. Well, I think it's a really good track, and I really think I should get the vinyl, even though it's $50.
Do we support Mike? Let's all say yes. 3, 2, 1. Yes! Alright.
That was our first spotlight.
Oh my gosh.
We don't know what our second one's going to be. We kind of fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah, but you guys will know once we know. And we'll know soon. This was really an impromptu one. I'm really glad that we had it early. I'm really glad that we're having it when we're having it.
This was like our passion project first spotlight. We were both like, Giacchino kind of rules before we even started.
Yeah, for real.
So we were like, we should probably just focus on him for our first one if we love him so much.
Yeah, literally.
And we did.
We did. And we will continue to love him.
As always.
Yeah, for real. Also, as always, we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. Our link tree is probably in our bio everywhere.
Yes. And speaking of Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
we have a cool update for you guys. We had a famous person on our Instagram story.
Dude, Mike, who was it?
It was Robert Cool Bell. Cool is the nickname. But he's the bass player and co-founder of the famous disco band Kool and the Gang. He voted Minerva McGonagall in the tiebreaker with Draco Malfoy.
Wow.
And that was one of the votes that got Draco Malfoy eliminated.
That's crazy. And their band is also from New Jersey. Just
Much like Giacchino.
Yeah. That's wild.
But they did Jungle Boogie and Celebration.
Yeah, go listen to them. We should do a disco spotlight, perhaps.
In light of the famous Instagram man. We hope you enjoyed this spotlight. I know I
Yes.
did.
I did too.
I really like the research.
I like that we didn't get I didn't get
Did you? You
Did
would.
you-
You would.
I like that we didn't get mad at each other for anything because we both were like, we
Yeah,
love
there's no
him.
hot takes. This is just we love this man.
Yeah, for real.
Hallelujah.
So next episode we'll be back on our regular scheduled programming where we'll have our report from our assignments that we got last episode. So if you don't know what those are, go listen.
Woo.
Crazy. And you'll hear from us next episode.
Thank you very much for listening, and we hope to hear from you next episode.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Michael, Giacchino.
Not Giacchino.